With this current government, I'm literally at the point where I am ready to petition for a constitutional amendment where the people who vote for an elected president are the ones who will have to submit and obey to the rules and policies that they eventually enact once they're elected. And for the rest of us, we just continue presidentless. I am so tired of suffering because of people's mistakes. I think that if you want to vote in a corrupt clown, you should have to suffer through the rules and policies that they will put in place. We should have an amendment that says that if you have voted for the current president, then only you have to obey the laws and policies that they put in place. If you did not vote for the president, then the laws that they eventually enact do not apply to you. You can just continue with the old regime. Like, that's what I want. And I feel like that way, then it raises the stakes for people to start using their head more when they're voting. Because I feel like people don't think. Like, there's nothing for you to lose, so you don't use your head when voting.
Welcome to the bold analysis. Why is it technically difficult or impossible for Kenya Kwanza to flex their policies? Because that is at the center of collapse of bipartisan talks.
We want to find services when we go to the hospitals. We also are saying the cost of fuel, which is pushing the cost of living upwards. We want the additional tax of 8% removed with immediate effect. That will help the cost of fuel stabilize. Currently, the taxes in Kenya are feeding corruption, not services. And we must fight corruption, which has doubled in this regime. I don't even think it has doubled, it has trebled. You had the controller of budget recounting that we are paying for loans which we cannot ascertain what service they give. Yes. So corruption has gone to new levels, and that's why we are saying let's adhere to the rule of law. As I want to address Kenyans as well. What can we do about this? As the people with sovereignty, you are the ones who elect leaders, or we are the ones who elect leaders. Last elections, those who know they are not eligible under Chapter 6 did not want to hear the word track record or history. I just want to remind us, even when you are employing a milkman, just a person to milk your cow, you would not dare employ somebody who stole just a bottle of milk from your neighbor, milked the bulk of the milk in a bucket and gave to the employer, but stole only one bottle. Yes. You will chase them. Yes. But in management of public affairs, we are employing people whose track record is well known. Yes. Corruption, land grabbing. Yes. We are giving a blank check. The suffering today, we must ask ourselves, when did the rain start beating us? And we must be prepared to renew leadership in Kenya. Because if we do not go back to value-driven leadership, the suffering we are experiencing can only go higher than it is. And finally, we have already talked about the cost of living. It's just to remind us, sovereignty belongs to the people. Hata kama tutasafirishwa mbinguni through killings during demonstrations. Yes. As NARC Kenya and as people of Kenya, yes, we are saying, should the talks fail as they are looking, they are failing. Yes. We shall not forgo our rights. We shall go back to the streets if necessary. Yes. We are going to exercise our civil, political, and human rights to the fullest. Yes. We are saying no to intimidation, and we are calling upon Kenyans to join and hold hands so that we restore sanity in our nation. Yes. In conclusion, we remain part of the Azimio coalition, but even with the larger clan of Azimio, their houses. This is the house of NARC Kenya. Yes. So NARC Kenya has to prepare to strengthen itself to be ready for the next general elections. Let there be as many candidates within Azimio.
Martha Karua is calling, and you realize from what Martha Karua is saying there, that is the voice that Raila Odinga team is also, Raila Odinga is also insisting, that it's either cost of living, or cost of living. This is because the bipartisan talks is at the brink of collapse. On Wednesday, 15th, the team that retreated in a hotel in is it Stone Hotel in Athi River, that is Machakos County, have been writing the reports for now a week. And on Wednesday, 15th, the Azimio La Umoja members of the technical team on the Azimio side walked out of the meeting because they could not agree on what exactly is the final verdict about the policies on the cost of living. So the technical team that is normally led by Eugene Wamalwa and Jeremiah Kioni walked out because the team could not agree on just these two aspects. Azimio La Umoja demanded that Kenya Kwanza must address the cost of living. And what was on top of the table is what the team did not agree in. And what Azimio demanded were two. Number one is the housing levy to be scrapped or reviewed downwards. And number two was that the VAT on fuel be reviewed back to the 8% from the 16% that was proposed in the finance bill. And I'm told there is a meeting that has been called that is going to be attended next Wednesday, 22nd November, by Treasury CS Njuguna Ndung'u to shed more light on it. And I listened to Kalonzo Musyoka rolling around with Kimani Ichung'wah, and I don't even see what is the sense of this, because what is he going to say different? I want you to listen to what they said about how they actually handled the fallout between Azimio and Kenya Kwanza.
Oh, cost of living.
Well, we made quite some good progress, not just on the question of cost of living, but on a number of the issues, the 5 agenda items and other issues that Kenyans raised. We have had very extensive discussions and deliberations on the issues touching on the cost of living, and agreed on a number of things, but we have also found need to make further consultations, and that's why we asked for time out to make further consultations, principally with the National Treasury, and we shall be recalling the Cabinet Secretary in charge of the National Treasury to join us when we reconvene next week on Wednesday, by which time we expect also to have a draft report to consider as we settle on the small issues that we are yet to agree on.
What is this food bank? Is it about working out the costs? What is this that you want to get from the National Treasury?
You see, there are proposals on the table, principally those that touch on taxation, and something like the housing fund, which also falls within that ambit. And it's those issues that we want to engage the National Treasury further on before we are able to make a final determination on the way forward.
Excellency, your take on the cost of living, the progress from the Azimio side?
It's not my take, it's a committee's take. We have asked for further consultations, as Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah said, and we are pretty much on course. It is important that we hear from Treasury, and that is where they should help us crack that issue, because at the end of the day, they are the ones who collect the revenue, they are the ones who dispense, of course, service government programs.
That was a joint statement by Kalonzo and Kimani Ichung'wah. And I'm just wondering here, we have invited Njuguna Ndung'u to appear before that team on Wednesday, that is on November 22nd. If he appears there, he'll be appearing there for the second time. Number two, When he appeared before the committee sometimes back in a while, he actually told the committee that they should not even think of tweaking the taxation regime by Kenya Kwanza because it will actually not work well with the economic recovery plan. So Kalonzo Musyoka standing there with Kimani Ichung'wah telling the nation that they're inviting the Treasury CS to come and shed more light. And I'm wondering, so what is the essence, what is the autonomy of the bipartisan talks? Because clearly he is coming there to defend the government position. There is no any other thing that is taking him there. He is going there to defend the government position. But I want us to pause a bit and look at another factor that's around the collapse, because it seems it's actually collapsing. Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, and a host of Azimio leaders have actually said sometime in the past that they are not going to sign the bipartisan talks report upon its finally when it's out. They said they're not going to sign. They're not going to sign, but as this collapse, the probability of the collapse was going on, there was a security dossier I wanted to look at. This dossier here. It was released, and what that dossier is saying is that country might have lost 50 billion between March and July this year because of the mass action that was called by Azimio la Umoja. So that dossier was just, it was brought to try to demystify, just to amplify the effects of protest. And so they knew very well that something might be at the corner. Now, Raila team have insisted of not signing. And I think what they're doing here, why they might have pulled this, because we need to get how we got into this, to understand. We had all that, we had the mass action. The police was unleashed on Raila Odinga's supporters. The security forces was unleashed in the areas of Kondele, Kibera, and those areas. The graphics, photos of how people suffered in those areas actually shocked the nation. And Raila needed to have a retreat, even in a way you know when to retreat. So, but after that retreat, within the context of that retreat, the course of that retreat, the bipartisan talks was birthed, and it was to be, the prefect was to be Obasanjo. I don't know whether he's still the prefect of the whole exercise. So, but the government side believed that they had contained Raila Odinga, and they will walk to attend the Sunday weekend events and explain on how they have managed Raila Odinga. Something that, of course, Raila needed to take his back. So, what happened here is, Raila Odinga team realized that Ruto would use that bipartisan talks buzz to cool the tension. And why they're insisting on the cost of living must be there is because they know very well that the tension is high, and the more they insist on it, it's something that is going to resonate with the public. They will not want to, they want to avoid sanitizing William Ruto mess. So the country has been asking Raila, because Raila Odinga has been silent about everything going on. And the country has been asking, so what exactly is this? What exactly is the position? I saw yesterday, when Raila released the oil dossier, some journalists asked, where does this put the talks? Because he realized, and many people are realizing, that the new Raila is now taking the combative edge. And that combative edge, I think I analyzed about it here, is not what many people would expect in the spirit of that bipartisan talks. And what is going on clearly is that he's not in for anything like a handshake between him and William Ruto. Many saw the position of the leader of opposition and that chief cabinet secretary, that it was going to excite the opposition. But from what's coming out, Raila camp is not so much excited by even the creation of those positions, because for quite so long, that is what the country has been made to believe, that Raila was out there for the creation of that position. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there is something I want us to think about, and that is what is going to be the gist of this analysis. And I started with it. Why William Ruto cannot flex the policies. I have seen the bipartisan talks, the process since it started for the last 3 months, and it has lost the autonomy, its independence, because whenever there is a stalemate, you will hear people retreating to talk with the principals and discuss further. And one aspect that I think has failed those talks is the fact that government has deeply been taking control of it. We have seen, of course, it was opened for the public and other stakeholders to also give their input. But the moment it was opened, government took charge. And I don't know how they have the autonomy, like they have the authority, control over it, because of course it was funded. That bipartisan talks was supposed to come up with a resolution, looking at what the solution is, looking at what the situation is, what the ministry has said, but the committee must come out with what is a solution, irrespective of whether Ruto loves it or not. But if there is a stalemate, we are going to look for Waziri, Treasury CS, to come and shed more light, then honestly, he's going to defend the government position. So people went to, the reason why people protesting is because they wanted the government to flex the muscles. And the country has been asking, what is this man? Where is the Jesus? Or where is the force that will push William Ruto to flex the policies? Why? And that is what I want to explain for you my 3 pillar reasons why Ruto has failed and is tongue-tied in flexing the muscles, flexing the policies, because it's the policies. We're not going to subsidize consumption, we're going to subsidize production. Those are the things that are hurting this country. We are going to have housing levy. It's a percentage of, you pay a position amount, your manufacturers paying a position, manufacturers wanaumia. We've had issues about the fuel. We have other taxation policies that are being rolled every night and every day and night. Those are the things that are hurting this country. Now, there are 3 reasons. Number 1, Ruto is under the IMF yoke. Nowadays, it's no longer breaking news that we've been given a loan. And even today, yesterday, there was another approval of 142 billion from IMF. IMF gives us conditional, normally gives us very tight conditional loans. I saw even in Malawi, they gave the Malawi government loans, and the next day, the president of Malawi said, banned himself and all the government officials from foreign travels, which I think is a good thing. Even Kenya should emulate that. But this is the point. If you want to know, we are under the yoke of IMF. There was an attempt by government even to involve IMF in those talks to come and make a presentation. So we are still using that template. And what seems not to work well is, there is no way. IMF has been telling William Ruto, we want to give you a loan, but we don't want to hear of those subsidies. However, the Ministry of Energy, in the supplementary bill that is in Parliament, I think it has to be tabled in Parliament, they need an excess of 4 billion for some subsidy program. I think it's on the fuel. So the IMF is one of the impediments against what the country wants. Number 2, Ruto is looking at policy change as bolstering the opposition, in the sense of what Kenya Kwanza the ideal picture Kenya Kwanza would want is that Raila and the team went to protest, they protested, they went back to the talks, and when they came out of it with nothing. So they would even want to come out that they were given those prime cabinet, those chief opposition leader, the office of the opposition leader. And I'm telling you, if Raila signs that document today, with the leader of opposition and all that without the cost of living, then the next morning the propaganda will be on the fact that he just wanted that and he never brought it on table. I remember from the onset, there was a propaganda by government side saying that Azimio la Umoja did not list cost of living in some of the reducible minimums in that. They said it. Now things are coming out, it's not coming out at an end, it's now coming out that they're putting it on table. They would not want, because it will give them impetus to believe that maybe now the protests have an income, or rather a positive outcome. Number 3, and this is something you cannot rub off. There is Ndindi Nyoro camp. This is the camp that believe that those talks should collapse even before they start. That camp is determined. They believe that the talks don't need to be there. And what they're vouching for is a very critical trap, that the talks collapse so that Azimio la Umoja will go back to a protest, and going back to that protest, they will get a confrontation with Raila Odinga. I want to ask for the second time. I've been insisting on this. Raila Odinga should not lead any protest. Let Kenyans protest themselves. Let them find different ways of protesting. But Raila Odinga should not get into that, because that's probably what they're saying in the picture. And they want they want that so that it will be blamed. If you come out of that protest, everything will be blamed on that protest. So that camp is determined to scuttle the talks. Number 3 is one group I want to call taxation cartels. Not taxation cartels, I think government cartels. Cartels are collecting money from just that 8% increase in the VAT on fuel. Some people are benefiting. That housing levy, houses are being built and some individuals are benefiting. They will not want to interfere with the status quo because it will hurt their businesses. So that probably is the true picture of what exactly we are dealing with. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to read your comment here. Tell me why you think Kenya Kwanza cannot tweak these policies, even though we are seeing in public things are simply not working. If you are moving your office items from one place to the other, or rather you are changing, or you are moving your items to upcountry, you need a reliable company that will guarantee you safety, professionalism, and ensure that your cost is also affordable. Contact Top Mark Movers here. Top Mark Movers are the best in movement logistics around town, and of course even out of town. Contact them using, you can visit their website www.topmarkmovers.co.ke, or you can as well call them here 07 19 17 43 93. Top Mark Movers, quality is everything. Thank you.
Hii sasa unajua ni
picture.
Sawa.
Yes.
Hi guys, so we're here as we had promised that we were coming to this other side of Kibera to deliver the wheelchairs. So because of the other residential training that the mothers of the kids had, we had to reschedule to this Sunday, and we've come here to Mekuja. We've brought the 5 wheelchairs as we had earlier stated. Even though we've not, wazazi wengine hawakumake, we manage around 3, yeah? Yeah. To manage 3, others are absent, but we've had the 3 that wako hapa, but the other wheelchairs we have, so tuna believe kwamba the team itawapatia wataweza kupewa the wheelchairs. Now I want to but I want to give each parent atasema something a minute, but before them I need to introduce these 2 ladies around me. I know you're seeing them we've seen them for the second time. So Kawira is normally our admin. Sasa tukishafanya, she's the person that an engine behind all this, and we also have else on this end. So Kawira, itabidi uongee na watu alafu tuwapatie.
Okay, so for me, I'm just going to say thank you for the people who came through. As you can see, we were able to get the 5 wheelchairs. And thank you so much for watu wenye waliweza pia come through for us to pay the funds. We really appreciate, and also for the management, we just want to believe that wenye wajamii kukuja pia watapewa zenye zimepatikana. I think that's all for me. Thank you very much.
Mama Benja, I say something.
Okay. Mimi nasema ni asante kwa hiyo organization yenu ambayo mmeamua mnasaidia watoto wenye wako na disability. Pia nashukuru kwa hii wheelchair ambayo mmetusaidia nayo. Kama mimi nilikuwa already, watu walikuwa wananicheka kila wakati ni mtoto wako kwa mgongo. So nimefurahia kwa sababu Benjamin atakapokalia hii wheelchair itakuwa ni kazi rahisi, ni kumsukuma tu, nikimlete therapy, maybe nataka kuenda somewhere, ni kusukuma tu. Nashukuru kwa hayo ambayo mmependa, na mzidi kutenda, mbarikiwe sana. Ni hayo tu, na mbarikiwe.
Hata mimi naitwa Eva ama Jane ama Mama Nancy ndio huyu. Kwangu ni kurudisha shukrani kwenu. Juu ni wengi, watu ni wengi wangetukumbuka lakini hawakutukumbuka, lakini nyinyi mmetukumbuka na sisi tuko hapa tukisema ni asante. Mungu awabariki na waongezee wema.
Na mimi naitwa Sara Kemto, Mama Gloria. Gloria ndio huyu already amekalia wheelchair. Na mimi nashukuru Mungu kwa sababu yenu. Mungu amewatumia, mmekuja kutusaidia. Ndio watoto kama Gloria ni mkubwa, kumbeba kwa mgongo ni shida. Nashukuru Mungu, Gloria amepata wheelchair, ataendea shule Januari. Wacha Mungu awabariki. Mali hiyo pesa imetoka, na Mungu airudishe. Mbarikiwe sana na Mungu awaongezee. Nimeshukuru. Thank you.
Yes, so yes, on behalf of this amazing team, asanteni sana. I'm just short of words. We mentioned that intervention ya disability, we will try to still upscale. Nimerealize kwamba the number of kids in need of wheelchairs ni wengi sana. We cannot, but I believe with this start, as we roll into 2024, we'll be able to support and develop this as a full program and support the team that we have here so that we move forward. Asante sana.